The Corn School on RealAgriculture.com is brought to you by BASF and Pride Seeds.
Hey, it's been quite a year. People tell me it's been the driest year since 1956. We're looking at record soybean yields possibly. We've had record spring wheat yields, and the corn yields are looking pretty strong. So, quick question for you: where do these corn yields come from?
Yeah, the corn yields are looking very strong. I think when we go back to the way the growing season started out, we had an April that was incredibly warm and dry. May was pretty decent as well. We got our crop in excellent condition. So no wet holes, no elevated water table, no trying to plant it into tacky conditions. So we got the crop off to an excellent start. And what that means for the corn crop, when you think about those young roots that are expanding out into the soil profile, they're in a really good situation. They're pushing through the soil profile, they're expanding laterally, they're going deep into the soil profile, and it really set us up for being able to handle a very dry summer. We had probably the best start to a corn crop that we've had in a long time, and that ended up boding really well for us, particularly those spots where rainfall was short. When we talk about being the driest since '56, well, clearly there are areas where it was dry. There are also areas where rainfall came in a pretty timely fashion.
So talk about a little bit about early planting, Greg. Does this reinforce the idea of getting out there as early as possible?
Yeah. Well, when you consider agronomic practices up against genetic potential, up against weather, what are some of the things from an agronomic perspective we do that increases our ability to withstand stress and to improve yields? And clearly, doing a good job of planting, having a very uniform stand, having the crop coming up very uniformly, that's something that producers have really done a good job in the last 10 or 15 years of improving. And it is a critical factor in being able to produce high yields, even in less than perfect conditions, is getting the crop off to a good start.
Talk about yields. I mean, I know everything's not off, you haven't seen all your data, but where do you think things are going to land?
Yeah, well, so our 5-year rolling average is at about 150 bushels per acre for the province, the provincial average. We've got yields that are very strong. It won't surprise us if we end up at or beyond sort of that average yield for the province. There will be counties, if you move to the south and west of the province, where rainfall was more abundant, we'll probably be in record yield situations in many of those areas. As you move into some areas in the province, to the north or to the east, we're not going to have record yields at all. But for the most part, I think you'd say we're surprised at how much corn we got, even when rainfall was pretty limiting. The one intriguing thing that has happened in 2012, when we contrast it to 2011, is the impact that the weather has on nitrogen availability. So we run a number of nitrogen trials. And in 2012, with a really amazing warm, dry April and pretty good conditions in May, we were able to detect considerably higher than average nitrogen being released from the organic matter. And so if you're a grower trying to fine-tune your nitrogen rate, and particularly if you're a side dresser or have the ability to apply nitrogen in June, you'd want to capture that idea that 2012, weather in April, weather in May, dry, warm, turning out nitrogen out of my organic matter. Why would I apply additional fertilizer if organic matter's already supplied that need? And if you contrasted that to 2011, which is cool and backwards and wet, and that nitrogen wasn't there, you end up with saying, hey, we need to get our heads around how to manage nitrogen better in the face of different weather. And that will be an interesting message that we discuss this winter across the province as we do winter meetings, when we look at, say, 2011 weather versus 2012.
Yeah, lots of stuff to talk about this winter.
Lots of stuff to talk about.
Thanks for your time today.
My pleasure.